Okay, we'll get started. My name is Jan Howard, and I am chair of Saddlebrooks Public Affairs Commission. We're a group that is made up of 8 members, 4 from HOA 1 and 4 from HOA 2. And our charge is to interface with government and intergovernmental agencies. We're partnering right now with the town of Oro Valley, with the Attorney General's office. You may have seen things concerning Firewise that we'll be doing, trying to get ourselves certified, both HOAs, for Firewise. So those are the kinds of things we do. We meet the second Thursday of every month at 2 in the Agate Room at HOA 2. So given that, this is the first in a series of 2 frauds and scams presentation. This one today, and we're going to have another one a little bit different in the first quarter of 2026. So right now I would like to introduce Arizona's Attorney General, Kris Mayes, and thank her and her group for coming here. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good morning. Morning, Saddlebrook. This is so wonderful to be here with you today. And thank you for that wonderful introduction. And what a great facility and beautiful community. I love coming here. So thank you all for being here. We'll get started. I would love it if we would all rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. Before I get started, I'd also like to recognize we have several other elected officials here and public servants. Excuse me. Sheriff Ross Teeple, are you here? Where are you, Sheriff? There he is. By the way, from Pinal County, by far the funniest sheriff in Arizona, I will tell you. I have learned. Love working with our sheriffs. And then we have Pinal County Supervisor Jeff McClure. Jeff, are you still here? There he is. And Dana Lavis, Pinal County Recorder. Dana, there she is. All right. All right, so thank you all for being here. We are, I'm going to pull this out if I can. We are here to talk about a rising problem in Arizona and actually across the country, which is fraud against our seniors and consumer fraud and elder abuse in particular. And so I've been doing these town halls all over the state and trying to get out as much as I can. And we have a staff of folks that are doing separate of these trainings and conversations all throughout the state, just primarily to give you a sense of what we are seeing at the Attorney General's office and what is sort of coming at us. And these fraudsters and scammers are always innovating in their own way and evolving. And so we wanted to present some of that to you. And so let's go to that first slide. To give you a sense of Arizona, I mean, we know this. We have an aging population in Arizona, all of us are. And 1 out of 10 older adults will experience abuse or exploitation of some kind. That's a pretty stark statistic, right? And we're seeing an increase in life expectancy from 68 years old to 78 years old. So, you know, longer period of time, that's a good thing, but longer period of time for which these folks can try to get at us and get at our money And then, of course, we have some cognitive deficits that develop in older adults, which makes it easier for these scammers to steal our money and the money of our older adults and assets. So we'll go to the next slide. And we're going to play a little bit of a video for you here that will get us started.
Before you're at that point where they might need to go into some type of assisted living. That's when you also want to make sure that if you don't live in the area, please come visit.
We can best defend our loved ones and those we care about against abuse, neglect, and exploitation when we're engaged.
We have seen an increase in exploitation, specifically in areas of elderly individuals owning property or just not having any family to look after them, or individuals that have befriended them to take advantage.
I think that we're hearing more and more about people who are, being used as, what are they calling, a mule, basically carrying the mule, the money part of a scam. So somebody gets, into a relationship with somebody and they open up to them and they are very vulnerable to scams and abuse.
My brother had been exploited and was looking for love. As long as he provided her $17,000, and I think it may have been by wire transfer, that they had a future together.
People really need love, support, to feel needed, attention. Without that, without someone to love them, without someone to ask for help, seniors can be really vulnerable to scammers who will say they love them and give them attention as long as the money keeps coming. These scams rely on fear and loneliness.
In Coconino County, it's not so much outside predators with our clients. It is mostly family, believe it or not. Family, they're adult children, mostly. Recently, we had a case where the adult son moved his whole family into his elderly mother's home. Then, the deeper we get into it, we see that mom's paying all the bills, and so they're just living there. We're seeing a lot of that. I find that they'll say, it's okay if we do tell them what's going on after we become guardian, they'll say, that's okay, I don't care. And it's really, the sad part about it is most of the time if they do find out, they don't care, because I think it's really about just having someone in the home with them. But unfortunately, it's not someone who has their best interest at heart. Yeah.
So let's go to the next slide. So how are we combating elder abuse and elder fraud in the Attorney General's office? So I should probably back up a little bit and kind of explain how it is that the Attorney General's office is doing this work. A lot of the elder abuse cases in Arizona are handled by the Arizona Attorney General's office, sometimes by your county attorney's office, but oftentimes county attorneys just, don't have the capacity to do these cases. They're doing violent crimes, those types of crimes. And so we have two ways that we can tackle this at the AG's office. Now, number one, we have a criminal division to go after these scammers when it rises to a crime, a criminal offense. And then we also have a civil division where we can attack it from a consumer fraud angle. So we've got lawyers and investigators on both sides of that equation working on this. So what have we been doing? When I ran for this office, I knew that tackling elder abuse was going to be something that I wanted to really, really focus on, because I really think that whoever the Attorney General is, this should be one of their top priorities. And this is one of the areas where we can really, really have an impact. And so we have set two huge precedents already in my first 3 years in office. Number one, we sued an assisted living facility called Sonita Ridge. So what they were doing, and this has been happening all over Arizona, is they were using what are called secrecy clauses in their paperwork. When you enter an assisted living facility or a long-term care facility, they have you sign paperwork. And tucked inside this paperwork where these clauses are these clauses that demand that if you or your family members settle with them or accuse them of abuse or fraud, you are not allowed to tell me, the Attorney General, about that. Right? It's basically a gag order against you from being able to tell me about the crime or scam or fraud that occurred or abuse that occurred. And so obviously that's a problem, because then if I don't know about it, I can't, go after them, and we can't put together these trends, right, about the long-term care facilities that are engaging in the worst abuse and neglect of their residents. So we sued Sonita Ridge and got them to agree and forced them to take that out of their paperwork, and now many long-term care facilities, knowing that I will sue them if they don't, are voluntarily taking these secrecy agreements out of their arbitration clauses. In another precedent, we sued a company called Heritage Village up in the Phoenix area, and that was a long-term care facility that was engaging in really terrible neglect and abuse against folks living in that facility. And it was so bad that we felt like we had to essentially take over the entire facility and put it in the hands of a receiver. That had never been done before in the history of Arizona. And we don't take that lightly. You're basically essentially taking that business owner's business away from them. But if somebody, this is a critical responsibility that these folks have. And if they engage in neglect, they don't take care of our loved ones, then they don't deserve to have that business in the state of Arizona. So we are still in the middle of that case, but that did set a historic precedent for how we can deal with the worst of the worst long-term care facilities when they don't take care of our loved ones. We'll go to the next slide. So what are some of the scams that we are seeing out there, and the common tactics? Number one, these guys will exploit our goodwill and our trust in humankind, right? That's what they're gonna do. We, generally speaking, are trusting, right? Trusting people, and we want to trust one another. They will use emotional manipulation, especially in romance scams, which we're going to talk a lot about today, and are definitely on the rise here in Arizona. According to the Crime Complaint Center, IC3, Arizona had 289 elder fraud cases per 100,000 seniors in 2023. That is the highest rate in the entire country. That is why I'm out here doing these town halls and meetings, because we have the highest rate of elder scams in the entire country, and that is not okay. So let's go to the next slide and start talking about some of those scams. So how many people have seen a phishing email or phishing attempt? Okay. So you get to start, we're already starting to see what's going on. So this is very common. You'll get an email, right, with something that looks very much like an official corporation, right, a real corporation, American Express, Amazon, UPS, whatever. And it'll say something like this: review your information. Due to recent activities on your account, we placed a temporary suspension hold on you, right? And what do they want you to do? They want you to click on that blue button, and then they're going to start to take you through a series of questions where they're going to try to fish out your private data and get you that way. And so what we are saying is delete this. Delete this. These companies are not going to try to contact you this way, and generally will not try to contact you. And so delete it, and you can see, and we're seeing more and more fraudulent websites where they're putting up a website with a logo that looks exactly like an official company logo. Next slide. So we're going to go to, I think, is this a video, Sophia? Next one is, okay. So some other common scams that we're seeing, telemarketing scams. I don't know how many of y'all have gotten phone calls from charities, and in particular fake charities and fake sweepstakes. So we're seeing a lot of sweepstakes or charities. We've seen fake firefighter organizations, fake police, fraternal order police organizations where they're purporting to be raising money for firefighter or police charities. Really, really be careful about that. Of course, we all love firefighters. We all love police organizations and want to help our first responders, right? They're preying upon that, and they know that. So we're seeing a lot of this happen.
They're putting the pieces together, and I'm looking at these as red flags instead of pink roses. I said, holy, I am getting scammed.
To protect this victim's identity, we're calling her Kelly. She's a successful businesswoman in Glendale, yet this became her nightmare reality.
How much money did you give him to invest?
$89,000.
Oh, and have you lost all of that?
In my opinion, technically, yes, the money's not coming back. Have I learned some major lessons? Absolutely.
Kelly met a man on Facebook dating in May of 2022. He said he lived in Dubai and was an attorney for Aramco gas legal contracts. He convinced her she should invest in the company's foreign stocks. But months later,
this man still couldn't provide me proof that he had purchased the stock, so I started doing some investigation of my own. We met in person at the Cosmopolitan Hotel in Las Vegas. He ends up being a blackjack dealer at the casino.
Kelly is not alone. It's the rise in romance scams like this that caught the attention of Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays.
Just in 2021 alone, we saw more than 650 Arizonans victimized, to the tune of about $21 million in losses.
Mays says most of these scams are happening to people online who they never meet in person, but she feels major social media companies aren't monitoring themselves properly to protect users, and she plans to hold them accountable.
These are hard cases. Oftentimes the money is gone and it's really hard to trace. What I want to find out is, are those algorithms that are used by pretty much every social media company contributing to and exacerbating the romance scams?
As for Kelly, she says rather than be embarrassed, she hopes to help other women realize what's happening before it's too late.
Everyone thinks it can't happen to me until it does. If it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't.
Some good advice there. Kelly has filed a police report with the Las Vegas Police Department and has heard from other victims now who have allegedly been scammed by this same man. I asked the Las Vegas PD to confirm if this is an open investigation, but they did not get back to me yet. AG Mays says the best reminder here is to make sure you know who you're actually sending money to, but you're safer if you just never send any money at all.
So that gives you a sense of, one of the biggest scams that we're seeing out there, and it's romance scams. Gosh, we all love love, right? I mean, who doesn't want to be in love, myself included? And so these scammers, these fraudsters know that. And I don't know how many of you have been on Facebook recently where you'll see the profile of a very good-looking man or woman with zero information popping up in your feed, and then maybe even wanting to talk to you. And what they'll do is they'll sort of start a little chat. They'll start to chat with you with something innocuous, right? Something casual. And then before you know it, you're in a full-blown conversation, and before you know it, after a few weeks, that person will do to you what happened here, which is they'll ask you for money. and they'll ask you to wire it, or they'll ask you to send it by Bitcoin. That is extremely common now, or cryptocurrency of some kind. Or they'll even ask you to send them money by gift card. If anybody asks you to send them money in any of those ways, do not do it. Do not do it, and be really, really certain about who you're talking to and whether this person is real. I will tell you, we have law enforcement tools that allow us to see wire transfers and where they're going out of Arizona. And sometimes we can see enormous amounts of money coming out of places like Saddlebrook or Sun City, going to places like Nigeria. Okay, so what that tells us is these are fraudsters and scammers taking money directly out of Arizona, and especially from our senior communities. And so we just really want folks to be super careful, especially around these romance scams. Almost every one of these town halls I've gone to, I've had someone come to the microphone, and I don't know if that'll happen today, and say, "This happened to me," or "I think this happened to me." So this is a really, really big scam that is on the rise. And the other thing is, you know, and I think obviously people feel ashamed when this happens, and that's part of the problem is they don't then report it. I had a personal friend of mine call me, and I don't think he was the victim of a specific romance scam, but it was a scam. And this is a person who I deeply, deeply respect. And he had worked at the highest levels of state government for many, many, many years. And he said, "Chris, I just lost," and I think maybe it was a phishing scam or something like that. "I just lost $25,000, and I'm so ashamed, but I wanted you to know about it so that you could investigate it and know that this had happened." And so that's why it is very important. If you have been the victim of a romance scam, please let my office know. At the end of the presentation, I'll show you some ways to contact our office and other law enforcement about this. So we'll go to the next slide. So I mentioned gift cards. This is becoming a huge problem. Gift cards are a very easy way for scammers to take advantage of us. And we just urge people, all of you, to not pay with services or fees with a gift card. No legitimate business or governmental entity will ever ask you to pay with a gift card. And the reason they'll do that, or the reason they'll ask you to do a wire transfer or cryptocurrency, is it's totally untraceable. So once you have, and also very hard to stop, so once you have wired that money or sent that gift card to Nigeria, I can't get at it, right? I can't stop it. And no law enforcement agency can stop it from once it has arrived into the bank account in Africa. Treat gift cards like yours to giving somebody cash, and you're never going to get it back. So that's one tip that we'd like to tell you about. Next slide. We're seeing a huge uptick in Bitcoin scams in Arizona. Some people have even lost thousands of dollars to these scammers. Here are a few tips to protect yourself against these Bitcoin scams. Hi, I'm Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays. Many of these fraudsters are calling seniors and deceiving them into believing that their financial accounts have been compromised. These scammers then urge quick action, instructing victims to withdraw funds from their bank accounts and wire them as Bitcoin, all while discouraging them from contacting law enforcement or family members. My first tip to avoid falling victim to these scams is to stop and hang up the phone. It's best practice to verify who the caller is by directly contacting the organization they claim to represent. Many of these fraudsters will try to keep you on the phone until you wire them money. So hanging up can help disrupt their scam. Next, always be skeptical. This goes for any unsolicited call, but especially ones that are asking for immediate transfers of money. A government agency will never ask you to send them a payment via Bitcoin, wire transfer, or gift cards. Don't ever share your personal information over the phone. Giving out information to unknown callers like your social security number, bank account details, or passwords can lead to identity theft and even a loss of money, potentially thousands of dollars. And lastly, don't forget to report suspicious activity. If it feels like a scam, it most likely is. If you or a loved one has fallen victim to a scam, you can fill out a consumer complaint on our website at www.azag.gov. For AGO Tips, I'm Attorney General Chris Mays. Let's keep your hard-earned money safe. So, next scam I wanted to talk to you about is one that is really frightening, and that is artificial intelligence voice cloning scams. This is also something that every town hall I've been to on this issue, someone who said this has actually happened to me. And it actually happened to one of my lawyers at the Attorney General's office. So scammers are using AI technology, and what they are doing is they can get, all they need is a snippet of a voice, and they can clone your voice to sound like you and create multiple sentences out of that voice. So what they're doing is they're calling older adults, and they have captured one of your children or grandchildren's voice. And what are our kids and grandkids doing? They are putting themselves online a lot, right? I mean, even I do now. I mean, because I have to, because I'm the Attorney General and I'm all over the internet. But all they have to do with your grandchild's voice is get a snippet off of TikTok or Instagram or whatever. And then they will clone it, and then they're calling you, and the voice is saying, Grandma, I have been taken hostage, I'm in trouble, and they want you to wire them $15,000. And of course, you get that, and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to do that. They're in trouble. Like I said, this literally happened to one of my attorneys whose child was at NAU, and she got a call saying that she was in trouble by the side of the road, and they needed $10,000 or something like that. It is insane, but it is actually happening. So what we recommend you do, by the way, has this happened to anyone in the room? Wow, couple, 2, 3, 4 people already. Yeah, so wow. Okay, so what we're asking you to do is obviously be wary of anybody who's calling, asking for money immediately or urgently. Don't trust the voice or message, as again, they can be imitated. Hang up the phone and call your loved one through a trusted number to verify that call or text message. So hang up and call them back on the phone number that you know that they're on or have. This is really important. Consider establishing a safe word or a word or phrase that only you know, your whole family really, but especially you and your kids and grandkids. And so you can ask whoever is on the other end of the line, what's the safe word or what's the word? So I happen to have grown up on a tree farm. Maybe my safe word is tree farm. Well, maybe not, because I just told you all what it is. But you know what I mean. Really important to do that. And then, because then you can, and then obviously report it immediately to law enforcement. And then, just in general, be wary of these high-pressure tactics. I think we're going to see more and more of this as AI, proliferates, and as these scammers figure out they can use this tool to defraud a whole bunch of people. We're just seeing a lot of it. So Next slide. So what are some of the warning signs of fraud amongst our older adult communities? Obviously, unexplained changes in behavior or mood can be a sign. Increased secrecy about financial matters. Again, that friend of mine who was ashamed or felt ashamed. Maybe they become more secret about what's going on because the bank accounts are getting drained and getting lower and lower. Missing bills, unusual withdrawals from bank accounts, changes in spending patterns, and then again, the sudden use of cryptocurrency, gift cards, Bitcoin, or wire transfers. Those are all signs, maybe amongst your loved ones, that something untoward is going on. So how can we protect ourselves? Education is really, really, really key. And again, that's one of the reasons we're doing these town halls. This is a great community, and it's a great place for us to talk, for folks to talk to one another, talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends. Say, have you seen this? Have you been the victim? I just heard Chris Mays talking about these voice clone scams, or, did somebody trying to get money out of you through a romance scam? Making people aware of it. I mean, we've got to come into community together and talk to each other about this. I think part of the problem here too is just we're all increasingly more isolated, right, in our lives. And we're not talking to each other for lots of different reasons. Maybe political reasons, maybe technological reasons. But I think that makes us all more vulnerable to these scammers and these con artists. And so if we're talking to each other and warning each other about this, it gives us a better chance to stop it. Also, never give personal information over the phone. Use secure passwords and monitor your bank accounts really, really regularly so you know what's going on. And discuss any suspicious offers, again, with family or friends. Those are great tips to protect yourself. And then lastly here, and then I'd love to take questions. I'd love to take any questions you have about everything we just talked about. Or anything else you want to talk about with regard to the Attorney General's office or my job. But these are some great organizations that can help protect against fraud. These are our phone numbers. You can call us anytime. You can also report a fraud to consumerinfo@azag.gov. at our office. Those are our phone numbers. The Tucson number is obviously the 520 number. AARP, do we have any of the organizations here today? Is AARP here? Not today, okay. They have a great fraud watch hotline as well. BBB, Better Business Bureau, has a fantastic website that you can go to that will tell you whether a company has numerous complaints and should be something you should be wary of. That's bbb.org. And then the FTC has its do not call list. I have 2 major prosecutions going on right now against, or consumer prosecutions against telemarketers and spam calls. How many people get numerous, yeah. So it's a huge problem, and these companies are awful, and they're also really hard to litigate against. They are not good actors, and we've got 2 major cases against 2 major robocallers that we have going on right now, and we will continue to sue these guys to try to get them stopped. We really need a federal response to this, but haven't gotten a good one yet. And then the credit reporting agencies are good resources as well. So I think that's is that the last slide, Sophia? That's the last slide. That's what we wanted to talk to you about. There's one last issue that I wanted to bring up that we are seeing and working to prevent, and I really want to warn you about it. We are seeing what we call equity stripping schemes going on in the state of Arizona, and and deed fraud. So what is equity stripping? This is when a homeowner gets into some level of trouble on their mortgage, or maybe the house is about to go into default or up for auction. But what is happening is fraudulent companies are sending people to, especially elderly folks' homes, and tricking them into, what they'll do is they'll come to your house, they literally send out door knockers once they know that you're in trouble on your mortgage. And they'll knock on your door and they'll say, "We're here to help," and they will give you some paperwork. They'll say, "We will pay your mortgage for you until you can recover. Just sign this paperwork." And it sometimes it'll say Smith Family Trust LLC. And so you think it's your family trust, but it's not at all. It's in their name. So they're literally tricking people into putting your house into their LLC, essentially stealing your house from you. And essentially stripping all of the equity that you do have in your house. Because think about this, many of us bought our homes at a time when, like, you know, we say you buy your house for $200,000-$300,000, but they've all gone up in value to $400,000 or $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000. Even if you're behind on your mortgage or in trouble in some way, you still have all that equity that if you could just sell your house and put it on the market and not be tricked out of your home, you would be able to get that equity out of the house. And these guys are coming to people's door, knocking on doors, and trying to basically trick people out of their life savings. So we've got a couple of different prosecutions going on right now in that area. So just please be aware of that. Please talk to your neighbors about that. Don't, if somebody's coming to your door saying they're here to help, sometimes they're not there to help. So wanted to give you an update on that one as well. Now I would love to just turn it over to any questions that you all have. I know we got a question in the back. Sophia, can we pull the microphones off and take them? Or if you want to come down. I know you're pretty far. Or if you want to yell it out. There we go. Okay. Yes. Yes.
But California has more consumer protection, and one of those is the responsibility notaries have to not have fraud. So I would urge that. The other thing is there have been some major hacks. There was a recent 5 million names, social security numbers, addresses, dates of birth, the whole thing stolen on the flat web. What are the scams that are arising from those kind of thefts?
Yeah, great point. And I want to go over to the county recorder on this, on your point. We are suing those companies for privacy breaches actively in several cases. Great point. It's terrible. I think 23andMe is one of them. Huge data breach. A couple of other companies. On your point about the fingerprinting, I discovered that because I was in the process of doing a house transaction myself, and I happened to be at my sister's house in California, and they required the thumbprint, and I was like, wow, wait a second, what's that? That's interesting. But we don't do that here. So great idea, interesting idea, and it does protect against fraud and theft. But why don't we go over here and talk about the deed fraud issue? Sophia, do I need to turn this off? It's on now. Oh, it is. Okay.
It's on now.
Okay. Good morning, Attorney General Mays. Dana Lewis, the Pinal County Recorder. And one of the things members of Pinal County can do, or other counties across the state, if you will, multiple properties, is to sign up for something called the Recorder's Notification System. It's an opt-in, it's no charge, but you just go to our website in the county, and you sign up. I think you get 5 different renditions of your name. So if you happen to have a family trust, you can put the Lewis Trust LLC. And then this way, anytime somebody records a document against those names, you're automatically notified. We'd only historically ever seen this when it was occurring with paper documents, normally family-on-family problems, but we've actually started seeing an uptick with electronic filings. So we're hoping that going into this next legislative session, we're going to be able to do some of that really great work that the gentleman's talking about there with notaries and items of the such. So please, I encourage you. We have over 300,000 registered voters in Pinal County and over 500,000 citizens, yet I only have about 15,000 people signed up for this. So being able to be here and encourage you guys to go sign up for this, again, it's at the Pinal County Recorder's website, opt-in, no charge.
Dana, can I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name earlier.
It's okay.
So Pinal County has that. Maricopa County has that, right?
It's required across the state now. Pinal County and
Okay.
Yavapai County were the first 2 counties to do it.
Yes.
And
There you
yeah,
go.
and then they require it now across the state. So if
Okay.
you have property here and in Yavapai, you need to sign up in both places. That would be the assessor's parcel thing. And with that one, you do require a wet signature, where mine, you can go online and do it. They are, but they are really wonderful because they kind of work hand in hand. The first one is the RNS. It's the Recorder's Notification Service. And you're going to just Google Pinal County Recorder. You're going to see this face on the website. And there's like a 2-minute video showing you how easy it is to sign up. So please go sign that up. And then whenever you're out in Florence, stop by the assessor's office and sign up for the PAL program if you didn't sign up when Assessor Wolf was here.
Dana, are different counties at different steps of getting that online?
I believe everyone is there now.
Are they all now? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
That's awesome. Okay. Over here.
She's coming with the microphone.
We got the
Ma'am,
microphone.
she's coming with the microphone. Sorry, it is a little hard to hear.
Thank you. About a month ago, I got a letter from, oh.
Yeah, we got
there
to do it like
goes.
that.
I got a letter from Experian telling me that my social security number and my date of birth were involved in a breach. And I'm really concerned. Who knows where it could end up? So your office doesn't handle things like that.
That may be, I've got to go check, that may be one of the companies that we're suing over data breaches,
Okay.
but I would follow any steps that they have told you to take to protect that information if you can. That's what makes these data breaches so awful, because it's very hard to protect against after the fact, and why Congress needs to hold these companies accountable for this.
I agree. I did exactly what they recommended, but I'm still concerned that
Yeah.
kind of information can be abused.
Important after a data breach like that, just keep a close eye on your credit, on your bank accounts, on anything that you might be worried about. Just be extra vigilant about it in the wake of that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
If you haven't, in addition to freezing your credit, you can also lock your social security number. There is a YouTube video. It will come up first if you Google how to lock your social security number. And there's a nice gentleman who will walk you through it. It's not easy, but there's a nice gentleman on YouTube who will walk you through it.
Thanks, Sophia.
Do we want to come over here?
Sure. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for your presentation. Another resource is the FBI's IC3, which is Internet Crime Complaint or something.
Yes.
Also, on your credit reporting, you can get a free credit report once a year. What I do is every 4 months, I order a credit report from each of the three and look through it carefully, look for suspicious stuff. And my question to you as Attorney General is, when somebody makes a complaint, what do you do with it? Do you just file it or see how many complaints you get before you take action? No, I have my lady friend was almost scammed by a computer protection agency. They ended up wanting $10,000 for years of coverage. You can buy many computers with that, and then they threatened to tap her bank account. They had her bank account number, so she went to see the manager at the bank, and he helped do some things. But she filed a complaint with full details, copies of correspondence, and never heard back. So, do you act on all these, or you just make a decision what's worth chasing?
That's a great question. So thanks for that opportunity. We encourage you to file that complaint with us if you feel like you've been defrauded. If you are having trouble with a company, let's just say a company that you did business with, or you bought something from, or you got a service from, hasn't performed, you can file a complaint with our consumer complaint section. And we have a whole team of people designated to trying to get your money back. So we absolutely will try to address it if we can, and then we catalog it as well so that we can identify trends. So that's why 2 reasons it's important to tell us if you think you've been defrauded, or even an attempt, because it can help us spot trends. And then we get 22,000 complaints a year into our consumer complaint section. And we try to address all of them if we can. And many times, like especially when you're dealing with a legitimate company that has not performed, let's say you hired a company to come out and put in shutters into your home, and they only did half the job. Funny thing, when the Attorney General's office calls, they often come back and finish the job. Or we can get your money back for you. So it's a remarkable thing, and you should be, if this has happened to you, please avail yourself of what your taxpayer money pays for, which is my office, to help you. And so, yeah, we've got the ability to respond.
And I can look into her complaint. If you want, it's possible maybe it just ended up somewhere it didn't need to be. Happy to look into it, reach out to me.
I'd also add, anecdotally, we check the consumer complaints very regularly. And for example, in Pima County, there was a recent scam where people were getting jury duty summons, but it was from a fraudulent company. And so we got quite a lot of complaints, and we were able to get the word out very quickly to make sure other people in the county knew about the scam. And so we respond very quickly, and that can help prevent other people from being scammed. We've got a question right over here.
Okay.
Once you add.
And I want to mention something else, because Sheriff Teeple is here, and our sheriffs have been amazing in helping us deal with fraud. We started really addressing Bitcoin ATM machines. I don't know if I mentioned this during the presentation. Really aggressively, when Sheriff Rhodes in Yavapai County, my home county, I was born and raised in Prescott, brought this to our attention, that they were seeing, so these, oftentimes we're seeing these Bitcoin ATM machines being set up in food marts or gas stations, some grocery stores, not a lot of grocery stores, but, and our sheriffs were seeing seniors walking into the gas station and walking up to these Bitcoin ATM machines with the phone in their hand and the fraudster on the other line, literally saying, deposit $20,000 into this Bitcoin machine. Often a romance scam. It's often a romance scam. And the sheriff said to me, hey, Chris, can we at least put some warnings? Can we jointly warn folks against using these Bitcoin ATM machines in this way. And then we together went down to the legislature to get legislation this last session to at least limit the amount of money that people can put in at one time. Now, I would like the legislation to be tighter because the cryptocurrency industry fought us on this. Imagine that. So I'd like to tighten it up. I don't know if the sheriff would like to. Probably, I'm sure he would. But our sheriffs have been amazing in helping to spot and deal with these scams. Where was our next question? Oh, over here.
Thank you very much for coming in and for this informative briefing today, a proactive step. You know, getting word out and communicating with people, even your own family, is a challenge today because, you know, in the good old days, we had public service announcements on television and people watched television. They don't anymore. Would the Attorney General's office, in terms of resources, have an ongoing education piece that we, for instance, in an association with 10,000 people or more here, I mean, we can communicate very effectively with these homeowners and residents. And if we had a resource that we could draw upon, you know, for updates and all of this information, I think it would be helpful.
I think that's a great idea. Delaney, what do you think? Delaney is...
Hi, I'm Delaney. I'm on the communications team. And yes, I can say, I'll get your email, but also our YouTube account for the Arizona Attorney General, if you just search AZAG, and I'll send it to your organization after, but we have ongoing PSAs. We actually are in the middle of a video series that we're doing in coordination with the Better Business Bureau of Arizona about a series of videos with the Attorney General and the BBB about common scams and how to watch out for them. So I'll follow up. Feel free, anybody else who is interested in that material, you can find me, but it's also regularly posted on the Attorney General's social media, and if you'd like to find it yourself, to send out yourself, the YouTube is probably the easiest to share.
Absolutely. Over here.
Well, we have a question over here, sorry.
Oh, over here, and then we'll come back in the middle.
Actually, it's more like a PSA that we just had happen. Saturday night, knock on the door. My wife answered. I heard two male voices talking to her about inspecting our house, coming inside, insisting that they had to be inside the house. Like casing it for burglary as far as I was concerned. And by the time I reached the door, they had her signing, putting her signature on something to agree to have them telephone on Sunday afternoon. And then I ran them off.
That's very aggressive. Yeah, that's very aggressive. We also, that's interesting, and we also see a lot of scams around, especially around the time we have flooding or heavy rains, folks wanting to inspect your roof, folks wanting to fix your roof. Now, I mean, your roofs can be, you know, damaged, but got to be really, really careful about what you sign on to. We also see a number, though I am a huge solar fan, we have seen a lot of solar scams as well. So got to be very, very careful about who you sign up with in terms of solar companies. Please vet those companies before you sign on the bottom line. And ask your neighbors, because your neighbors are great resources about that.
We've got right here.
Right here?
Well, that was sort of the same thing. It was a scam for my mother who lives in Montreal. Somebody came and said that the government was going to help pay for her furnace thing, so he went down and took notes and everything else, and she signed a contract. And fortunately, my nephew turned up at her door for a very strange reason and said, "Granny, you've just been scammed." So, you know, basically he got the check canceled and took her to the police station for her to have a lecture.
Wow.
But, you know, if it happened there, it can happen anywhere.
Yeah, was it a furnace that they were selling?
They were a furnace contract, you know.
Okay.
They would come in and do it for free. Once a year, they'd come in. But, you know, she had to give a check first, you know.
Okay. Yep. Probably a big one, huh? Yeah. Over here? Okay.
Yes. Okay, I noticed you didn't say anything about commercial products like LifeLock,
virtual networks and so forth. Do you work with those people? Do you have an opinion about how useful that stuff is? Malware bytes, LifeLock, those kind of things?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that we work with them, but I think some of those products can be helpful, you know, and, you know, we can actually go back and talk to our staff about that, but the malware stuff, I think I'm a big fan of protecting yourself against that, for sure, and I think some of those products can be helpful, yeah.
Just a story on a different point of entry that I haven't heard mentioned. I lost a credit card at a University of Arizona men's basketball game last winter. I lost a credit card at a basketball game, a U of A basketball game last winter, and did all the right things. We're reasonably attuned to scam things, and did all the right things with the credit card company. They're very good about that. Canceled the credit card, got a new one, blah, blah, blah. Sometime later, I got a call from Verizon. I did not connect the dots, and they didn't ask me for information. They asked me to confirm the information they were giving me. They told me name, rank, and serial number, all the things that I'd been, ultimately when we found out how this worked, I'd been dumping into American Express annual re-ups for 25 years, right? And up until they sent a link to sign into my account, to my Verizon account. It was Verizon, and came on the same thread that I get my bills on. I don't know how they can do this. But anyway, I hung up, got a hold of the fraud department, and they said all that information is on that strip that's on the back of your card.
Oh,
so
yeah.
whoever got my card knew how to do that. They didn't ask me for information. They asked me to confirm all the information that was in there. It's a scary deal.
Wow, that's amazing.
I was lucky. I didn't lose anything.
You didn't? Okay, good, good.
On that point, there's a new phenomenon called spoofing, where it can show up on your phone as the actual contact card of someone you know. So whether it's the actual Verizon company you have in your contacts, or your granddaughter, or a friend, it can pop up, and we're actually talking about legislation that would, and a potential lawsuit for these companies to make it impossible for them to pretend to be people that you already know.
Question, do you have any comments on computer virus type issues, fraud stuff? I get so much of that stuff.
So the question is, computer virus, say it again.
No, you can get, I get all these emails that, want you to open them and all this.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just wondered if you have any comments on that, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, ignore it. Delete it. Yeah. Anything like that. But it's a great point. I'm glad you brought it up. Like, exactly. And all of that unsolicited stuff, almost always it's fraudulent. I mean, that's what we're finding. And they're finding so many different entry points to you and ways to do this, including, as Delaney said, the spoofing. So yeah, likely should delete it.
We got one right over here.
Over here.
I have 3 comments and a couple of questions. First comment, near the beginning, you were talking about fraudulent emails, and when I've been counseled that when I get those, besides deleting them, either log into my account or call the company with the phone number that I have on file and find out whether or not it's legitimate.
Yes.
Another comment, we have 3 very good communication methods here: Senior Village, our network of unit reps, and also monthly meetings of the GM coffees. But I have a couple of questions. One other comment. Your hotel key card that you get, take it home and shred it. It has a strip on it. You don't know what kind of information is on it. I take them home, I shred them. I have a question about paying through companies like Zelle, and I'm familiar with Zelle. I've used it a few times, but recently I wanted to pay my MasterCard through my Chase checking account, and they had me do it through a totally different service I had never heard of before. Can you tell us what services are legitimate? That's one question. And the other question is, I will not keep my passwords in anything that's online. I have my own private, hidden, stashed in the house somewhere list of passwords. What can you tell us about any of those online password keepers? Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Yeah. So Zelle, be very careful. I will say that. Be very careful. I use it. I do. But I will also tell you that we are taking a very close, I can't say too much about this, probably already saying too much about this, but we're taking a very close look at the company behind Zelle. Some of these entities, and Zelle, by the way, is used by 2 huge banks, I think at least 2, if I'm not mistaken. One of them is Bank of America, because that's my bank. In some of these cases, these third-party payment systems have not done a very good job of protecting against fraud, and also in some cases, it's harder to get your money back if you're using them. So just be really careful if you're using Zelle. One of the issues is it's very easy to send money to the wrong person, and there aren't enough payment protections against that, right? One of the great things about, everybody has different opinions about credit cards, but one of the good things about credit cards is that you can almost always get your money back if there's been a mistake or a fraudulent transaction, right? Not the same thing with a debit card, and sometimes not the same thing with PayPal and Zelle. So just a little bit of a warning about that, about using those services for especially large transactions. I would say that. Yeah.
Any point about online password keepers or anything to be concerned of?
Also be careful. Just be really, really careful about those online password keepers. I personally tend not, I've been lately trying to not use them because of that hackability factor.
A list of passwords written down is a great idea. I'm a big fan of a list of passwords written down. Are you ready for your next question?
It's a hard one, right? Because we're all, I don't know about you, but I forget all my passwords all the time. And I'm constantly having to redo them, which might not be a bad idea.
Hi, thank you again for coming over here.
Over here?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, I'm losing you guys.
Thank you for coming out and sharing this information with us and taking our questions. Really appreciate it. A couple things on the spoofing. Once they spoof and identify themselves as someone that you know, how do you drill down into that to find out who they really are, or block them? Obviously, you could call or find some other way to contact the person they're spoofing. Is that the best way? And I have a couple more.
Yes, I think that's probably one of the ways to deal with it. But I would also contact our office or another law enforcement office about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then on the password managers, there are some good ones out there. One of them is associated with NordVPN.
NordVPN, yeah.
So a virtual private network. That's a good way to, they block a lot of stuff, and you can register your emails with them, and they can kind of give you a notice if someone's, using your email. The main question that I thought of before these other ones, if some scam outfit, whether it's online or by telephone call, gets personal information from you, what do you do then? What steps can you take? Because they've already got it now. So
if they get your information,
yeah.
So I think number one, call us. Number two, if you've given them information that could get them access to a bank account or a credit card, freeze it. Call your bank. And lock down. I think Sophia brought up locking down your Social Security number so that they can't use it, and then also reporting to credit agencies. So if you're really, really sure, now I know that's a huge pain. What a pain, right? Oh my gosh. But if you're really sure that somebody got your private data, I think it's worth doing it, because it's an even bigger pain if they get access to your assets.
So after the fact, if they already have your Social Security number, go ahead and lock it, which means they can't use it, or they can't. Oh, okay.
Yes,
Great.
exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're right over here. Up here.
Oh, sorry, Delaney. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. I have a theory that I just wanted to share, and I'd be happy to work with your county office on this. I suspect that there is a huge percentage of the scams that take place over the phone, and if anybody has ever tried to call back some of the numbers that you've hung up on, you'll universally find that they can't take a call, or they don't receive calls, or they're out of business, something negative like that. So I feel strongly that the major phone carriers have computers strong enough, fast enough, adequate enough, because I know they do plenty with their computers, that they could actually check every single call that's placed. And if they can't put the call through, or say they see on their end that it's disconnected, they should terminate that call right then and there. And I, for one, would be perfectly willing to wait 2 or 3 extra seconds, believe me, for any phone call if they could stop that. And I would venture to guess, if we asked for a show of hands in here, how many people are plagued by 5, 10, 15, 30 calls a day that the minute they say hello, and you say hello, you get another hello, and the next thing you know, it plays you a recording, it plays you an AI voice, and I would love to have somebody maybe in legislature or one of the senators, one of the congressmen, see if they can't force the phone companies to double check every single phone call.
I love that idea. Let's do it. I think that's brilliant. I think that's brilliant, and it's and so you know what? I think I'll talk to Mark Kelly about that next time I see him.
Well, Mark Kelly happens to know my wife. Besides that,
okay, good. So
from many years ago,
let's
we
have
won't
her
say how
lobby.
many, but I would be pleased to work with them on that.
That's awesome. I love that idea. I think that's a great. I love these town halls because we always come away with great ideas. This is obviously a very smart audience.
One quick follow-up from
sure.
my wife.
Oh, okay.
So when you get these phone calls, you know, I've witnessed so many friends, my husband, a lot of people respond to these people. They get annoyed by them and then want to play them. They just want to play them. They'll keep them on the phone, and they think that they're in control by playing them. You're not. Hang up.
Yeah.
Hang up. They are cloning your voice.
That's a great point. It is not worth the entertainment value of playing with them. I watched a friend of mine do the exact same thing, and I'm like, no, get off the phone. But can I just make a comment about the platforms here? And I know we're kind of coming up on the end of our time. I know folks need to probably get going. But although I would stay with you all afternoon, you know me. Well, it does upset me that whether we're talking about phone companies or internet companies or social media companies, I talked about this in one of the videos. Meta, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, WhatsApp. They are not being held accountable. Right, and in the case of the social media companies, because they are platforming this crime, right? They're platforming this fraud. They are platforming other forms of crime. I mean, one of my other jobs as your Attorney General is I do 80% of the major fentanyl and drug trafficking prosecutions in the state of Arizona against the Mexican drug cartels. And the sheriff will tell you this. These companies are allowing drug traffickers and the Mexican drug cartels to lure our kids from Phoenix and Tucson down to the border and paying them $1,000, or allowing these ads to be run on their platforms to traffic drugs and people up into Phoenix. They're luring, and they're allowing this to happen on their platforms. So they're platforming this crime, they're platforming fraud and scams, and robocalls in the case of the telephone companies, and they're getting away with it because Congress lets them get away with it. It's because something called Section 230, which prevents them from being held liable for this activity. And they know it's happening, you know. It's not like they don't see what's happening on their platforms. And so in any other medium, you know, think about television would not be allowed to platform crime at all, right? But Congress just can't seem to see to it to allow us, law enforcement, to hold these companies accountable for platforming this crime. So I totally agree with you. If we need more accountability for telephone companies and social media companies that are allowing it to happen.
And 20 or 30 robocalls a day sounds like that would drive me absolutely insane. If you're having that problem, there are robocall blocking apps that you can put on your iPhone or your non-iPhone phone. You can look for those in the App Store, and I would recommend that because that sounds like it would drive me insane.
Well, and also what also upsets me, and I don't know about y'all, but you know, gosh, I mean, who even wants to use their phone anymore? And that isolates us further, right? Because we're not even answering the phone. So I think that's it is something we've really got to get our hands around.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you. I guess to add on what you were saying about using apps, I'll be honest, there's a part of me now is afraid of like, okay, well, how do I know if the app that I'm using to try to stop this, whatever it is I'm trying to stop, is a legitimate one or a fraudulent one? And I don't know if there's necessarily any advice on how to know that, but that I agree with you. It makes you just not want to use tech at all.
Yeah, I think that's something that we should think about inside our office in terms of like advising people on apps that are trustworthy in terms of that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. One more. Do we want to do or?
Do you want to do one more here? Sir, I'm behind you.
Okay. I apologize.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. I have a question, or I'd like you to speak to the importance of having current paperwork prepared with your family. For instance, healthcare directives, the power of attorney to pay your bills when you're in the hospital or unconscious or whatever it is, because it's so easy to play around with the power of attorney that gives you control over other people's financial life.
That is such a great point. And I think we referred to it in one of the videos earlier, that sadly we are increasingly seeing fraud even from family members who are taking advantage of a power of attorney or a lack of a power of attorney. Really important. And I think we have some information on our website,
Yes.
We do, Sophia,
Yes.
do you want to speak to that? That it's a packet, a kit with that kind of information, power of attorney, an easy way to get that done. Please have that in place. Please have your will, your trust documents, your power of attorney done, and those kinds of the healthcare directive done well in advance. Sophia, is that on
Yes, we do offer life care planning packets on our website. We will send them to you in the mail for free. All you have to do is request one either over the phone or by email from our office. Additionally, if you guys here in your community want a training on those and even a witness and notary to come help you sign them, I will connect you with the state agency essentially that runs that, and they'd be happy to come down and help you with this. They are wonderful and we work with them all the time.
Great. Okay, one more or two. I don't want anybody to walk away mad, so.
I had a very unusual situation. I got a bill for $250 for a safety or a security system that I never got, and they wanted me to put my credit card in and pay for it. But there was a phone number, so I called it, and I shouldn't have done that. But anyway, they said, "Oh, okay, we'll give it back to you. We'll put it back into your bank." But I said, "Well, all right, put it back in my bank, but I didn't pay it." Well, we took it. So they start to put it back in the bank, and I don't know how they got into the bank because I didn't give him any bank information. And he said, okay, we're putting it back into your bank. And then he said, oh my God, we made a mistake. We gave you $25,000 instead of $250,000. So I said, well, I'm hanging up and I'm going to my bank. So
Good answer.
I hung up, I went to the bank, and sure enough, in my checking account was $25,000. They had taken it out of my savings account and put it, so they couldn't take the money out,
Wow.
but they transferred it. And, you know, it was so multifaceted that it was mind-boggling.
Wow.
I don't know how they got in.
That is crazy. That is a bank question for sure. Wow. Well, good for you for not believing it. So.
And they called me back for days.
Wow. Okay. A great example of what we're talking about. Okay. One last over here, Sophia, behind you.
Yes, thank you so much for coming today. We're really cyber secure in a lot of ways because we came from the DC area. And one of the things that I've been doing is calling all of the credit cards like Macy's or whoever I had and asking them to remove all of my data and any stores that have my phone number and or other people that might have my address, that kind of thing. Is there any, I mean, you know, we have Malwarebytes and we have Norton and we've got all those kinds of LifeLock and I'm running all of that.
Okay.
But how do I, is there any systematic way of clearing that data?
Boy, that's a great question. Not that I know of. Do we have any of our team anybody from our
I
team?
don't think so, because they're
I don't
all
think so.
selling your data. Even the places you want to
Yeah.
have your data will sell it. Sorry if that's shocking.
Yeah.
But even the places you have to give your data to open bank accounts, to do normal things, they'll all sell it. So I don't think so. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I apologize. I think we're going to have to end. But thank you all for being here. What a great crowd. What a great crowd. Thank you so much for having us.